Hi dearest friends, I hope you're all doing fine. I just figured this weekend to share at least 5 tips of having an aesthetic spread, and the things that I'm going to be sharing are those things that I've come to realize and have been accumulated for the past 2 years of the things that I do that make my spread lovely. So I do hope you stay and watch. The first one would be the usage of faint colored grid lines. I mean, having planners that have a faint colored grid lines or neutral colored grid lines. So let's find a blank or unused spread. This one is the Take a Note planner in A6. If you would want a full review of this planner, you can check out the video I've made specifically for this. Now, going back to our first requirement, which is having a faint colored grid lines. When the lines of your journal is as dark or saturated as your handwriting, it sort of becomes a nuisance instead of making your handwriting pop, and sort of competes with the attention. Having this kind of grid lines, faint and neutral colored, sort of gives that look as if your handwriting is floating or invisible. To illustrate, I have the Take a Note planner in the left to show you how the effect of a faint colored grid lines is, while on the right, this one is a notebook with a dark colored grid lines. You will notice that because this notebook has a darker grid lines, it sort of makes my handwriting or some of the letters of it not immediately readable because of the hard line or the hard colored grid lines. For me, the purpose of grid lines is only a guide so that your handwritings are straight. That's why it makes sense to have it very faint, to put all the attention to your designs and your handwriting instead. Now you might be thinking, why just not get a blank journal if I didn't want the lines? Well, I'm one of those who couldn't write straight in a blank journal. That's why I'm very dependent on grid lines to make my handwriting neat and organized. But since I wanted something to look very aesthetic, I figured that having a faint colored grid lines really helps. Then having this one. The next part will be the size of the grid lines. You have to find the right size of grid lines that best fit your handwriting. For me, it's around 3.7 mm to 4 mm only. The good thing is the Hobonichi and the Take a Note planner has this size. For me, too much spacing is also not that pleasing to look at. So to illustrate, this is my B5 journal notebook that I used last year, which has a 5 mm dot grid size. And as you can see, my handwriting looked forcefully slim and large to compensate with the size of the grid lines or dot grid. Using this did not make me feel comfortable or relaxed writing in this journal. That's why I only lasted, I guess, 2 months using this, because I felt I was not being myself because I had to write in a different size. I had to force myself. That's why I did not last for too long using this. So here are the other spreads. I did make an alternative. I tried to log this journal by dividing the 5 mm into 2 lines, but it made my writings smaller than usual, or handwriting smaller than usual, and it does not have enough spacing. So there is still a type of forcefully doing things that I did not like. That's why it's so important to find the perfect grid lines for your journal. Thirdly, the design of the planner. Journaling for more than 2 years now made me realize how margins play a huge part in making your spreads pretty and aesthetic. Not having margins make your spread look crowded and messy. To illustrate, I will be looking at some of my earlier journals. This one. This was I think an A7 size. So this is my first ever bullet journal, and as you can see, this is a 5 mm dot grid. That's why I also did what I did in this spread, which is having 2 lines in one 5 mm dot grid. So it made my spread look a little crowded and messy because I was also not having margins, or if I had one, it was very small or narrow. These ones are those times. It's very crowded, like this one too. And on my next journal, which was this one, it had this one is when I first experienced having a 3.7 mm or 4 mm grid line journal. So as you can see, I was slowly using margins, not just in the left and right side, but also in between. This was my previous designs. So funny to look at them now. And so I'm writing or designing very differently from this. I don't use this color now because it gives me eyesore. So I think this spread is starting to it's when I realized the importance of having at least half an inch margins. I think that having margins is one of those very underrated or under discussed in the journaling community. It is frequently used because I could also see it with those that I follow, but it's not widely talked about as much as it should be. That it does makes your spread very pleasing to look at, very neat and tidy. And let's find another spread with very nice margins. I kind of missed having or doing cover pages because I'm now using the Take Note planner and it does not have a space for cover page. It's nice to look at them now. Let's find what we're looking for. This one does have great, this one is a great margin size. This one is one of my favorite spread in this Paint Closer journal. This one too. This one's so pretty. It's probably the time when I started following those journalers that have great designs and have very aesthetic and pleasing journals, and I kind of applied it on my journal too. This was the first attempt of using a weekly spread, which failed but I will have another video for that, how I converted myself on liking this. So this is the other designs. Just very quickly, this one is so nice too because of the indentation. And the color, of course. Another cover page. This one too, when I started using watercolors for the designs. What we're looking at is the indentation again. You can see it's so neat, even though it's quite crowded in here. Having margins in the middle and on the sides make it so pretty. I think I've continued using that until I filled all of the pages. I like this too, but I did not like the design of the spread. I forced myself to have a black and white theme with a neon accent during this time, but I still continued using the margins. And then we will go to the next part, which is the cohesiveness of the stickers with the ink color. Why ink colors are important. As discussed briefly on the earlier parts, I do make sure that my journal designs match with the ink that I'm using, or at least having them complement one another for a very relaxing look. I guess my objective is really making sure that my design makes me feel relaxed. When I get that feeling, then it tells me that it's a good design. When it's the other way around, I tend to remember it so that I don't do the mistake again. So to illustrate, I think I showed you earlier the one spread where I used a blue ink. This one, it's too much for the eye. It will give you eyesore if you looked at this for a very long time. I don't feel relaxed while looking at it. That's why I stopped using this color of an ink, and mostly I use the gray ink pen because for me it's so neutral. I could match it with a lot of stickers. This one is also using gray. And on my take note planner, if you've seen my flip through, you can see that most of it I'm using a gray pen, neutral gray ink pen. I do use this too, a brown, warm brown ink, but I still prefer using the gray one. Maybe because I also like a cool toned designs or stickers. This one is gray. These are mostly gray. Just a little bit of browns. I think comparing the 2 or 3 ink, brown, gray or black, I'm much more inclined to use the gray ink. And the next one would be the nib size, or the size of your ball pen or pen. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I think having finer handwriting makes it immediately look neat, even makes your handwriting prettier. Sorry, that's my can. It's actually the same with our topic, or number 3 topic, which is the nib size, or it's the same with our number 3 topic, which is the nib size, or the pen. The ballpoint pen size is not frequently discussed even though it really makes your journal very pretty and neat. So this spread has a, I think I've used a 4 mm size, but comparing it with my other spreads, it looks much nicer when I'm using a finer nib or finer tip. Can you see the difference? So just ignore my cat. This one is the other example, and this one too. I'm using the finer nibs or tip in here. That's why I love using the 0.3 mm nib or 0.38 mm or the extra fine tip instead of the fine or the 0.5 mm. Now that would be my final tip. So I do hope you've enjoyed and you've had a lot of takeaways in this video. If ever you want to clarify something, don't hesitate to comment, and I do hope you like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more design tips, planner reviews, and other stuffs. I think the cats are all here, that's why maybe they're telling me to stop. So thanks for watching, until next time.